morning, and welcome to today's segment of Nadya's Identity Files. As you can see, I'm not completely myself today. I decided to be a American Horror Story style witch, a la Season 3 Coven, in lieu of Halloween, which is inconveniently next Monday. I really wish I could call the calendar people and say, hey, do not make Halloween on a Monday, but unfortunately, I don't have that much pull. So happy Halloween early to everybody. Today's segment, we're going to explore identity as it relates to horror because this is a Halloween-themed episode. For me, and I think for most people, Halloween is really a holiday that's rooted in trying on a whole bunch of different identities. Granted, a lot of these identities are pretty archetypal, especially when we were kids. You know, we aspire to be doctor, fireman, princess, or obviously witch, vampire, the scary ones. So, these identities are very archetypal in the same way that we push labels on people, but all the same, it's fun to try on identities in that sense. And of course, we can opt to make them more complex by being hey, I'm an American Horror Story Coven witch. Of course, I don't know which witch I am. I didn't really think that through. I can't even remember all of their names right now, so I'd have to kind of rack my brain. Maybe I'll do that later when I'm going out and about this Halloween weekend. So, virtually all opportunities to disguise ourselves and try on new identities is typically limited, especially now, to the digital space. So that's why I love Halloween so much, and I think why so many people love Halloween, because they can freely explore other identities, even if it's in that more archetypal, stereotypical canon. In the digital world, of course, people can be avatars if they're doing gaming stuff. They can try on different identities that way. They can, even hide behind their screen names in online chats. Of course, now it's all about social media, and that's my bread and butter. That's what I do. So I encourage people to not, when they're wearing their identities in social media, not to do so in that archetypal sense. But all the same, people are very carefully crafting themselves to look a certain way, even if it completely negates from their truth, which if you've been watching my shows in my social media on-air consults, you know that it's not, that kind of goes against my strategy. It's all about embracing who we are and honing into our authenticity. So yay Halloween. It gives us a chance to go out and about in IRL, in real life, to try on different identities, whatever it might be. I encourage people to think outside the box and don't just go to the Halloween store and be something super basic. Yesterday I was at Oz. LA people, you know what Oz is. It's a gift store, and I was looking around, and I just saw all of these really cheesy costumes. My favorite one being, it was hipster, what was it? Hipster skeleton woman or something. I'm okay, I guess we're kind of adding an extra layer of identity here. We got the glasses, which is really funny. So, for those who knew me as a teenager, the dark side and goth and Halloween and all of that stuff, it's really central to my identity. I was super gothed out in high school, and I apologize, people who knew me growing up, for my unrelenting angst, but it's still very much a part of who I am. So horror and the dark side, which doesn't necessarily mean anything negative per se. There's a positive and negative in embracing the darkness. I love the romantic side of the darkness, like your Edgar Allan Poes and your Hemingways and all of that loveliness. So, for most people, Halloween is really the only day of the year, obviously, that they can try to dip into the dark side. Moving away just from those archetypal costumes and trying on the different identities, like the more basic ones that I mentioned. We can also embrace the darkness and horror and goth and that whole world. There's so many identities within that. Most people think it might just be very one-dimensional, but it's much more fleshed out than that. So on today's show, my guests are, they're one with the darkness. 365 days a year, in fact. One is a writer and explores the dark side through his writing, while the other one is an artist. So they both very much love horror and the supernatural realm. But before we bring on our guests, First, we got to move into, obviously, naturally, our identity news, starting with election news. You know, leading up to Election Day, I cannot steer clear of this. I mean, you know, it's just going to be that same picture, you guys. I'm sorry, third week with that picture of Hillary and Trump talking about the election. We have, oh my gosh, 2 more weeks until Election Day. This is a landmark election, you guys. It is so important you go out and vote. Please vote. Please vote. On Tuesday, November 8th, I will be urging everybody to vote. Go do it. So, I mean, right now, it's maybe before last Wednesday, before the debate, Hillary and Trump are a little bit more neck and neck, but now there's a 5% disparity between the two, with Hillary leading the way. And I really think it might somewhat relate to, I mean, of course, it relates to a lot of things, but, you know, which would take me probably a lot longer than this segment to go into, but it really relates to, in my opinion, that whole nasty woman comment. Like, what is that? Nasty woman. I mean, really? Really? Honestly, when he said that, he had no idea that that was going to boost her numbers so much. And why do you think that is? Because until then, Clinton had more an identity, as I mentioned in prior episodes, of that of being a little more cold and unapproachable. And that instantly gave her an extra layer of approachability that a lot of people didn't feel that she had prior to. It showed that, yeah, this is a woman in a position of power who is suddenly being minimized to this level as a nasty woman just because she's putting forth substantiated facts against her opponent, and just because he is, you know, then being reflected in a negative light, that makes her nasty. She's a nasty woman. And I guess Donald Trump, you know, someone who says he's so super contemporary and, you know, in the loop of things, doesn't know about Nasty Gal. I'm wearing Nasty Gal right now. This is a shameless promotion for Nasty Gal, whom I absolutely love, created by girl boss, leader, innovator, entrepreneur, Sophia Amoruso. On her website, Sophia states Nasty Gals as being super progressive and really embracing themselves, and they are independent spirits. So by calling Hillary nasty, he not only gave Hillary Clinton a wonderful bolster to her campaign efforts by enhancing her approachability, her vulnerability, her realness, but he also probably gave Sophia Amoruso a pretty good payday. I would be interested in knowing how her website numbers kind of jumped up after that. And I know, speaking of nasty and people who already have shamelessly embraced the word nasty, before this whole thing happened, Janet Jackson's numbers increased dramatically for her song Nasty right after this whole debate shenanigan went down. So Janet Jackson's actually another woman that really fights societal norms and is really embracing her identity. Janet Jackson, 50 years old, everybody, has just announced her pregnancy. How many women past the age of 40 accept the role of that being of barren and not young enough to have a baby? You know, why even try? You're on the track to being menopausal. Just give it up, guys. You know, you're not really a woman anymore. Well, Janet Jackson, obviously in Nasty Gal style and Nasty Gal swag, just went for it. And here she is pregnant, stepping out on the scene. A lot of people are also wondering if she is now Islamic, if she's converted to Islam, because she was seen with her husband wearing full Islamic garb. Her husband is named Wissam Al-Mana. And so, I mean, they're happily married. But, I mean, I feel like people were kind of focusing in on that just to have a reason to, like, question, like, everything that's going on, rather than just say, hey, you know, good for Janet. Maybe she's trying on something new. Maybe she's moving into a new identity. We're not glued, you guys, to one identity. We have so many right now, and chances are they will be evolving and growing and being reshaped as time moves on. So embrace it. And it's Halloween week, it's Halloween weekend. Now's the time to really go for it. Enjoy yourself. Try on different identities. Hey, last year I did 3 different costumes, y'all. I did like goth chick, I did coven witch, and I think I did like suicidal starlet. So you can mix it up. Mix it up. So coming up next, I will be interviewing two very talented artists, as I mentioned earlier, Chad Burns, a screenwriter and a blogger, and Dulce Mathieu. She probably will stab me if I am mispronouncing her name. I will let her do that in Halloween style as needed. She's an artist for the dead and the living, and I'll let you kind of think about what that means a little bit before I bring her on. But both of their realities and their identities are firmly rooted in their love for all things horror and all things noir. So we will be right back.